This is the most overrated back exercise. The lat pull down has to be one of the most popular back exercises in the gym. Every time I go to the gym, I consistently see people doing some sort of lat pull down variation, which in my opinion is so stupid, as there are better options not only for aesthetics, but for athletics as well. My name is Rios. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Exercise Science, and because I'm here to make fitness great again, I'll be going over why lat pull downs are the most overrated exercise and what you should be doing instead. Before we get started, if you're looking to build an athletic and aesthetic physique, be sure to check out my 90-day aesthetic body blueprint. This lays out exactly what you need to do to build an aesthetic physique, including nutrition and monthly workout plans. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description. When it comes to lat pull downs, there are two different variations. One with a fixed range of motion and a cable lat pull down, which most people typically use. First, I'll be going over the fixed range of motion lat pull down and why this is a stupid exercise. I would say this one is worse than the cable lat pull down, and it all comes down to the fixed range of motion. A fixed range of motion lat pull down has a specific path that you'll go through during the exercise, and all this does is take the stability requirement out of the exercise. So you end up taking the shoulder stabilizers out of the movement, so your rotator cuff and your scapular stabilizers, which are crucial for a healthy, stable shoulder joint. You don't want to end up like Alan Eubank, who dislocated his shoulder boxing for the first time. When it comes to fitness, I don't want you to be like these NBC bodybuilders who are so focused on building muscle that they take the fit out of fitness. While building muscle is great and it's cool, you also want to build a healthy and strong physique as well, and a fixed range of motion lat pull down is definitely not the best choice for that. Now onto the more popular cable lat pull down. This is better than the fixed range of motion lat pull down, as it's a little less stable, but it's still more stable than alternatives like a pull-up. Although the bar by lat pull down is not in a fixed position like a pull-up bar, the constant pull of the cable enhances the stability of the exercise, as it resists upper extremity movement in the horizontal plane. I know some of you may be thinking, well, stability is not a bad thing in an exercise. The reason why the stability of machines is not great is because it doesn't replicate real-world activities. This is why I constantly preach free weight exercises, as it has the perfect level of instability that most closely replicates real-world activities and sports skills. This thought process also applies to extremely unstable exercises, as the instability of doing something like a Bosu ball is not realistic. But back to the lat pull down, it's not a terrible exercise, but I typically don't recommend it because it's inferior to the pull-up. While the lat pull down does have some demand on the shoulder stabilizers, both the fixed range of motion lat pull down and the seated lat pull down have a small core demand. And this all has to do with the external support you have on lat pull down variations. Because you're using thigh pads, your legs are motionless, which increases the stability of the exercise. And I'll go over later in this video why the increased stability is not actually beneficial. When you tell people that the lat pull down is a stupid exercise, they come up with a bunch of lame soy boy excuses. One of them being, well, the lat pull down, you have a bunch of attachments that I really like. And while this is true, you know you can do the same thing on a freaking pull-up. You can do a chin-up variation, you can do a neutral grip pull-up as well, and you can adjust the grip width to hit the back from different angles and to target different muscles. The next excuse is, oh, it's super stable, which is better for muscle growth. And as I said earlier, this is not necessarily a good thing. In a study comparing the pull-up and the lat pull-down, which I'll frequently reference in the rest of this video, they found that the pull-up is equally effective in activating the lats as a lat pull-down, and say that pull-ups may be able to increase muscular strength and induce hypertrophic adaptations of the upper back and arm muscles, similar to that of the lat pull down exercise. So obviously this just shit on the claim that lat pull downs are better for muscle growth. It still baffles me why people cope for the lat pull down when the pull up hits the back just as well, and it hits the core as well. I guess these people are so mentally weak that they have to cope for selecting a soft exercise. And this transitions perfectly to my next point, that there's no reason to do a lat pull down because there's a better alternative, and that's pull-ups. Pull-ups are better than lat pull downs because they hit more muscles than the lat pull down. Firstly, it has a greater core demand, which bodybuilders trying to act like it's a super bad thing when it's actually a very good thing. And when you see that the pull-ups hit the back just as well as the lat pull down, the excuse that the core is a limiting factor is kind of stupid. And studies have even shown that it has greater lat and bicep activation than the lat pull down. So doing pull-ups instead of lat pull downs will not only lead to you developing a stronger core, but you will build a bigger back and bigger biceps. One of the lame excuses for pull-ups is that it's hard to load up, but you can invest in a chain that will make it easy for you to load up the pull-up. I'll leave a link in the description of a good chain that I use. Pull-ups are also far more functional and transfer outside the gym better than lat pull-downs. I've had a couple stupid Instagram influencers argue with me about what a functional exercise is. And while there is a definition I like to use, I'll give you what I think a functional exercise is, because obviously functionality is pretty subjective. I think of functional exercises as exercises that transfer outside the gym very well. And and I see it as a spectrum, with pull-ups being far higher on the functionality spectrum than lat pull-downs. And this is due to the heavier core activation, which is needed in daily activities and sports skills. And if my opinion isn't enough for you for some reason, even though I'm the most humble influencer in the world, this study literally states that it's more functional due to greater bicep and erector spinae activation. Overall, you shouldn't be doing lat pull-downs, as the pull-up is far better, as it hits more muscles, so it's better for hypertrophy and overall strength, and it's better for sports. But what if I can't do pull-ups, Martin? Can I do lat pull-downs to help me get better at pull-ups? And the answer is, lat pull-downs don't transfer over to pull-ups very well. We have so many idiots online that claim that lat pull-downs transfer to pull-ups super well, but from personal experience and according to research, it does not. Research has shown there's actually a weak correlation between lat pull-downs and pull-ups. Before my haters take me out of context, I'm not saying that lat pull-downs don't transfer at all. Obviously, building your back strength will help to some degree. But the reason why lat pull-downs don't transfer over to pull-ups well is not because of back strength, but rather core strength. As I explained earlier, the thigh pads of a lat pull-down makes the exercise far more stable. And in a pull-up, your legs are dangling, which makes it far more unstable. And instead of comparing pull-ups with seated lat pull-downs, kneeling lat pull-downs, and machine-assisted pull-ups, they actually found that kneeling lat pull-downs were the most similar to pull-ups. And this is due to the core demand. And this study also explained the common claim that machine-assisted pull-ups help you do more pull-ups. I mean, machine-assisted pull-ups literally had less of a core demand than seated lat pull-downs, which was just crazy. And although the lat pull-down is very similar to the pull-up, they are still different exercises. Again, when it comes to the seated lat pull-down, you have external support. And when it comes to lat pull-downs in general, lat pull-downs are an open chain exercise and pull-ups are a closed chain. The way I like to explain open and closed chain exercises is that open chain exercises, the limb is moving, while in closed chain exercises, the limb is fixed. That's not the scientific explanation, but that's how I like to explain it to help people understand the concept. And while obviously closed versus open chain exercises doesn't directly involve the muscles worked, when you're trying to get better at something, you want to do something that's the most specific to what you're doing. In order to get better at baseball, you're not going to play tennis. You're going to play baseball. So in order to get pull-ups, you actually have to get under the freaking bar. From personal experience, I used to spam machine-assisted pull-ups and lat pull-downs to try and get my first pull-up, and I never saw any progress. I only made progress in my pull-ups during COVID, where I was forced to actually get under the bar and try and do pull-ups. So my best piece of advice to get better at pull-ups is to actually get under the bar. But there are many other effective techniques on getting better at pull-ups. One of my favorites being negative pull-ups. Humans are stronger eccentrically than concentrically, and we can use that to our advantage with negative pull-ups. And again, the great thing about negative pull-ups is that it's very specific to pull-ups. All you have to do for negative pull-ups is jump up to the bar and then do a heavily controlled eccentric. I really liked incorporating these early in my pull-up journey. Whenever I couldn't do any more pull-ups, I would just jump on the bar and do negative pull-ups. Another way to improve your pull-ups is doing band-assisted pull-ups. The reason why I really like band-assisted pull-ups is that it's the closest thing to a body weight pull-up. The only con of band-assisted pull-ups is that they're kind of hard to set up, but I would still recommend giving it a try, as it's the closest thing to a pull-up, so it'll help you get better at the pull-up. But an alternative to band-assisted pull-up is what I mentioned earlier, which is kneeling lat pull-downs. As I mentioned earlier, it's more similar to the pull-up than a seated lat pull-down and a machine-assisted pull-up. The con of the kneeling lat pull-down is not as specific to the pull-up as band-assisted pull-ups, but the pro is that it's much easier to set up. And an accessory movement you should be doing to improve your pull-ups is to do hollow body holds. As I mentioned earlier, the pull-up has a large core demand. So in order to get better at pull-ups, we want to strengthen our core as well, with hollow body holds being a great way to do this. I recommend doing this exercise 2 to 3 times per week for 3 to 5 sets each session, and hold each set for about 20 to 60 seconds. And you should be trying to increase the time you're holding this exercise by 10 seconds each week. And as I mentioned earlier, another great way to get better at pull-ups is to actually try and do pull-ups. I don't care if you can only do 3 reps of pull-ups. I don't care if you can only do 1. Get up there and try and do some pull-ups. You should be doing a longer rest time, so about 2 to 5 minutes of rest in between each set. This will be better for strength, as right now we're more focused on strength, so you can actually do pull-ups rather than hypertrophy. And whenever you can start doing pull-ups, I would say roughly when you hit about 6 reps of pull-ups, start adding weight. From personal experience, I noticed that whenever I started adding weight, I got super strong really fast. So again, make sure you buy a chain so you can start adding weight as soon as possible. Even though I just went into a long explanation as to why pull-ups are way better than lat pull-downs, there are some scenarios where lat pull-downs are okay for you to do. First is if you're doing a bodybuilding program and you can't get enough reps to get a great hypertrophy stimulus for your back, doing some lat pull-downs is definitely okay. But it shouldn't be a replacement for pull-ups. Each session you should always attempt to do pull-ups, but once your back is fried or you just can't get enough reps to get a great hypertrophy stimulus, stimulus, it makes sense to do some lat pull-downs for the rest of your vertical pulling work. I would still suggest to do kneeling lat pull-downs over seated lat pull-downs, as again it's the most similar to the pull-up. And once you're able to do pull-ups, you should be throwing that lat pull-down in the garbage. That was kind of dramatic, but you should definitely be prioritizing pull-ups once you're able to do them. As not only is it better for your aesthetics, but for your athleticism as well. Dr. Marlon Tails sucks at pull-ups, and actually made a video reacting to his top 10 exercises, which you should check out.